Right knee to straighten, left knee to flex on the backswing. It's Hal Jacobs here. Hal Jacobs here at the Haven Country Club, and I'm here to offer you a little bit of insight onto impact and what it's like at the moment that ball is struck by the golf club. So a couple things to note is different clubs are going to have different impacts. I've got a 9-iron here, and I've got a 5-iron, and I've got a driver. And when I put them down on the ground, you could see that the angles on the heads are all a little bit different. That driver has no offset on it in terms of handle shaft lean. So that means at impact, we're going to have a very different feel for the driver versus a 9-iron. And the 5-iron is going to fall somewhere in between. So let's get into what it all feels like. So here's the 9-iron. When we set up to hit a golf shot with a 9-iron, the ball position typically is in the middle of our stance, maybe slightly ahead of the middle of our stance. Our feet are about shoulder width apart. And our setup looks somewhat similar to this. Now, as we get into impact, our impact position, and especially on the Tour Pros, looks like this, where our hands are slightly ahead of the golf ball, and we have this nice shaft lean. If we looked at the impact of a 5-iron, the ball position goes slightly up, and now the impact of that 5-iron, the hands are not quite as far ahead at impact as it would be with the 9-iron. Now we take a look at that driver, and still yet the ball position goes further up, maybe towards the inside of our forward heel, and at impact, our hands are pretty much even with the ball. So you can see how different those impacts feel. So if you're trying to hit a driver and get your hands way ahead with that driver, more than likely you're going to send the ball way out to right field. So what can we do and how can we practice it? So here's a little tip. This is an impact bag that we use in teaching. But at home, you could take a pillow. You could take a couch pillow. You could take a pillow that you wouldn't mind if you put a little aggression into. And we're going to set up to hit a shot where the ball position is where it should be for whatever club we're trying to simulate. And now this is a 9-iron. So when I make impact with this pillow or impact bag, the shaft should hit that impact bag first before the club head. Now this would be incorrect. So when we get up and we practice our impact, I would recommend let's do a slow motion swing first, and you could see how the shaft is going to make contact with that impact bag first. Okay, we know what that feels like. Let's add a little speed to it. So now if we were looking at the 5-iron, the 5-iron is going to have a little bit of a shaft lean, but not quite as much as that 9-iron. So when we practice that impact position, the shaft still hits first, but by a little bit less. Then we get up to real speed, and the shaft is still ahead, but only by a little bit. Now we get into that driver. Now I wouldn't practice this at full speed with the driver because the graphite in your shafts, you'll probably end up doing more damage to your club. But you can see as we set up to our impact bag and we slow motion come into impact, the shaft and the club head arrive about the same time. I think the pillow or the impact bag works best if we practice with a 9-iron, because those are those shots that you've got a little bit shorter to the green, you're trying to hit the green, and sometimes you put the sod over it, or sometimes you scull it over the green. So I think these 9-iron shots are a great one to practice with. The other thing I would take is, now this is a foam roller, but you could use a paper towel, a roll of paper towels. That'll work. And we're going to put it exactly in the middle of our foam bag, our impact bag or pillow, like this. And if we come in from over the top outside, it's going to fall to the left of our target, our imaginary target line. Now, if we come into impact from the inside, it's going to fall to the right of our target line. And that's a great way to practice impact and work in a little bit of club path as we come into impact. So let's get that paper towel roll if you're at home. This is your couch pillow. We got this 9-iron just ahead of the center of our stance, and we're going to go a slow motion impact where the shaft hits the top of the pillow first. The club head hadn't hit it yet. Now we go into real speed, and we want that paper towel to fall forward, straight, or maybe a little bit to the right. I hope you have a better understanding of impact angle and what happens exactly when the club meets the ball. And I've showed you a little bit of how to practice. You've got a couple more weeks until the snow lifts, and I look forward to seeing you up at the club. Right knee to straighten, left knee to flex on the backswing. It's Hal Jacobs here.